To all Muslims everywhere, may Allah provide you with peace and blessings. Hi everyone, my name is Muhammad Zidane Attallah, and today I'm going to talk about three things: learn, collaborate, and inspire. Learn, collaborate, and inspire are three things we need to know before we get into specific of the topic. Well, let's begin, shall we? Today, to begin, we can check out the definition of these words in the dictionary. We must first learn, which is defined in the dictionary as acquiring knowledge or competence. Second, we have collaboration, which is the act of working together with other person to accomplish a common goal. Lastly, we have inspire, which means to provide someone with the desire or capacity or motivation to do or feel something. In my opinion, these three are a perfect complement to each other. You wonder why it is in the case. Let me explain. In order to understand something, you must first learn something. And then you may or may not cooperate with other people once you have learned something. You and the other people you work with will thrive in this environment, which is created by only these two factors. Last but not least, there's inspire. Was there a reason that I put it last? Well, no. We know what it means to make someone feel compelled to act. Well, that's fantastic, right? Because that's inspiring. However, the method is more sophisticated than you have guessed, because in order to inspire others, one must first be inspired by oneself. Well, what is the best method for accomplishing this? We return to our original goals of learning and working together. Inspiration. On the other hand, it has the potential to be both a boon and a curse, depending on how it is used. From your idea or whatever it is, the following generation can be encouraged to create something bigger. In contrast, if the idea you presented becomes enormous and you aren't part of it, you may face backlash. We can stop speculating now because these three facts form a basis of a story. Originally, I titled it The PlayStation Story. Whoa, PlayStation? What does it have to do with learning, collaboration, and inspiration? Well, we need to learn a little bit more about technology in order to truly appreciate what I'm saying here. So let's start with PlayStation. Technological advances occur rapidly, as we all have seen. So let's start with PlayStation. So let's go back to the 1900s, when the only way to play video game was at an arcade. There was a difficulty with arcades in their heyday because they were located outside of people's home. You have to leave your house to play it because, as you may aware, the arcade has only one box for certain games, which means you have to take turns playing it. Ralph Baer came up with the Magnafold Odyssey, a game device in 1972 because not everyone wanted to wait in line for the chance to play. Magnafold Odyssey, despite its lack of coolness or enjoyment, was a tremendous leap forward in gaming technology. But what it offered was something you'd never expect, and that was the ability to play video games in your own home. Nowadays, practically everyone has at least a laptop or computer. We take that for granted nowadays. But back then, it was regarded uncommon to have a computer, let alone a gaming device or a gaming console. This is because other company began to notice and be inspired by Ralph Baer's idea after tremendous success. Naturally, Nintendo comes to mind when thinking of the heyday of video games back in the 80s. At this time, Nintendo Entertainment System was the first of many consoles to come out of this company's stable. Nintendo addressed all the issues with the original Magnafold Odyssey. As you may know, Nintendo released a number of games that are still considered to be iconic to their brand, such as Mario, Zelda, and Mega Man. Well, in the same way Nintendo popularity expanded, so did its competition. Well, I guess that's what happens when you have success. Currently, exclusives are the only thing that divides consoles from each other. What I mean by exclusive is that, for example, we have PS5 and Xbox One, for example, Xbox One X. Well, to differentiate the other, we cannot just simply look at specs. We have to look at games that can be played on those systems. For example, we have Forza on Xbox and PlayStation. We have, for example, Spider-Man. And those depend on people preferences. Well, For Mario and Sonic in the 80s, that was the case because for a long time since the Nintendo Entertainment System, there hasn't been a generational change in terms of the console themselves. So in 1988, Nintendo came up with the idea of putting together a Super CD based machine and pitching it to Sony. Well, you may have seen the PS2 or PS3, or maybe you have seen the Xbox. Back then, people regarded the CD was a flaw because they didn't see it as a feature in the console. Well, so in 1988, CD could hold more data in a smaller footprint than cartridges. As a result, a prospective video game may exploit this to generate more immersive experiences. It was a brilliant idea by Nintendo. But Sony wanted to license all of Nintendo games that were planned to be CD based. So from the cartridges era of Super Mario and Zelda, they were going to make all of those games made and create and planned by Nintendo to be Sony games. Of course, Nintendo didn't like this. They thought Sony was backstabbing them, even though they both were based in Japan. So the idea was great, but Nintendo didn't want them to continue in that way. So the two companies parted relation. Well, to avoid a situation like this in the future, Sony went back to the drawing board, abandoned the cartridge, and opted to focus solely on the CDs. Sony PlayStation was born in 1995 as a result of this. You may have heard of the Sony PlayStation, right? It's the gray one with, PS logo and stuff like that. Yeah. Sony rose to the prominence in video game business as a result. In addition, it corrects a problem with the console of the 1980s, namely the fact the games were 2D in nature rather than 3D. Well, in conclusion, it gives a new meaning to collaboration by showing that even if a collaboration between Nintendo and Sony never materialized, the idea, conversation, and finalization are all still there and ready to be finalized. Moreover, Sony decided to produce something unique for the entire gaming industry to notice. Consider the theme, learn, collaborate, and inspire. While you're at it, if we stick to the PlayStation narrative, it's clear that they didn't quietly follow the road that I was speculating at the start. But they did manage to collect all three. Why is it the case? Well, instead of following the herd, I believe the greatest approach is to use all of these three concepts and forge your own route. Since you never know when you'll be in a position to collaborate with others and learn with others. As with Sony, Nintendo made a pitch and then walked away, allowing the company to learn and ultimately inspire the rest of the industry to follow in their footsteps. I'm Muhammad Zidane Attallah. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.